Ujjwal Discom Assurance Yojana. Ujjwal Discom Assurance Yojana. Right? That is basically Uday scheme. Ujjwal Discom Assurance Yojana. In short, Uday scheme. And what was the concept of Uday scheme? Very simple logical understanding. Under Uday scheme, the discoms which have incurred losses, they will be compensated. The losses will be taken up by the state government. Very simple argument. The losses of the discoms will be taken by the state government. And for the state government to take over the losses of the discom, the state governments were allowed to issue Uday bonds in the market. Uday bonds, collect money, issue bonds, collect money, use that money to absorb the losses incurred by the distribution companies. This scheme was actually implemented by the central government, but under the Uday scheme, targets were given. What kind of targets? The gap between ACS and ARR must be reduced to 0. All of you understand what is the importance of this? I'll repeat it again. The gap between ACS and ARR must be reduced to 0. And the AT&C losses, which are very high, should be reduced, should be brought down below 18%, below 17% like this. These targets were not met by the states, right? They were not able to meet these targets. And that is the precise reason Ujjwal Discom Assurance Yojana, the time period is over now, and now they have implemented revamped distribution sector scheme. They have implemented revamped distribution sector scheme, RDSS. Now, what is the logic of RDSS? Please understand. Under RDSS, central government will provide assistance to the states. They will provide assistance. Even under Uday, if you become a part of Uday, they would provide assistance to you. So under RDSS, center will provide assistance to the states in order to address the issue in the distribution companies. Provided, please remember this, provided the state government will prepare a plan how to reduce AT&C and how to reduce the gap between ARR and ACS. Annual targets will have to be prepared by the state government. The targets will have to be submitted to the center. If you meet the targets, only then the amount will be given to you. Is the logic okay? If you meet the target, only then assistance will be provided to you by the central government. If you do not meet the targets that you only have set up, central government will not give you any kind of assistance. That is the importance of revamped distribution sector scheme. AT&C losses are to be reduced to 12 to 15% by 24 and 25. The gap between ACS and AR to be reduced to 0. Improve the quality, reliability, affordability of power supply. It will be implemented till 25 and 26. And earlier schemes, there were multiple earlier schemes. For example, there was a scheme by the name of DDU GJY, Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gram Jyoti Yojana. This has been brought under RDSS now, right? IPDS Integrated Power Distribution Scheme. This also has been brought under RDSS. So you do not worry about these schemes. Remember, these are part of RDSS now. These are not separate schemes. So this is the first reform, RDSS. Second reform, PM Saubhagya Yojana. PM Saubhagya Yojana. Pradhan Mantri Sahaj Bijli Har Ghar Yojana. PM Saubhagya. Under PM Saubhagya, government will provide free electricity connection. I repeat, government will provide free electricity connection to identified households. The argument of Government of India was that many of the houses will not be able to afford the charges to get electricity connection. Is it okay? I'll repeat it again. Many of the houses will not be able to pay charges to get electricity connection. So Government of India said, under Pradhan Mantri Sahaj Bijli Har Ghar Yojana, we will identify the houses which require assistance and we will provide free electricity connection to such houses. And which is the agency, which is the nodal agency for implementation of PM Saubhagya? Rural Electrification Corporation. REC, Rural Electrification Corporation, is the agency for implementation of PM Saubhagya Yojana. Right? This is the second very important reform. Third very important reform, LED program. National LED program. Right? Under National LED program, we want to replace all the incandescent earlier bulbs with LED bulbs, light emitting diode, LED bulbs. All the earlier incandescent bulbs, I want to remove them, and I want to put LED bulbs in place of incandescent bulbs. And for houses, for the implementation of LED program, Government of India has launched a program by the name of Ujala. Ujala stands for Unnata Jyoti by Affordable LEDs for All. Ujala scheme. Under Ujala scheme, right, which is being implemented by an SPV, special purpose vehicle, by an SPV, right, ESL, Energy Efficiency Services Limited, we want to replace all the incandescent bulbs with the LED bulbs. Right, that is basically the argument under Ujala or even national LED programs. And if you have seen very carefully, street lights now are, right, LED bulbs. LED bulbs are being used in offices. LED bulbs are being used in houses, etc. What is the argument now? Why? What is the need for LED bulbs? Government says LED bulbs will consume lesser electricity compared to the earlier incandescent bulb. Efficiency is much better, and because efficiency is much better, they will consume lesser electricity, give you more light, and the electricity bills will also come down. Right, electricity bills will also come down. In fact, there is an ecological angle also, emission related benefit is also there for using electricity bulbs, LED bulbs. Okay, so more than 36 crore LED bulbs so far have been distributed. Do not by heart the number, because by the time you write the exams next year, number will be different. Right, this is a national LED program. Now, apart from this, government is also promoting renewable energy in India. Government is basically Government of India set up a target of 175 gigawatts of renewable energy, that is solar, right, wind, thermal, not thermal, thermal is not renewable, solar, wind, hydro, and bio. Right, these are the four components that are covered under the renewable energy. 175 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity by 2022. We have not been able to achieve it. It is more than 100 gigawatts in India today. But by 2030, now Government of India says they want to have 500 gigawatts of renewable energy. That is a target which has been set up by Government of India as of now. Done? Right. So these are some of the very important, right? These are some of the very important initiatives of Government of India, right, in order to promote power sector, renewable energy, or electricity sector in India. Right. And again, please understand this. Before I go forward, please remember this. Most of what I'm discussing under infrastructure is purely current affairs. I repeat, most of what I'm discussing under infrastructure is purely current affairs. You will not find these concepts in the book. Do not waste your time. And whatever is given in the book, as far as I'm concerned, most of it is not relevant for UPSC. For example, many of the books have given you how many national highways are there in India. What is the length of a national highway? Which is right, a national highway running left to right, right to left, top to bottom, bottom to top, right, etc., etc. As far as I'm concerned, it is of no use for UPSC exam. Okay. Now, next, I want to discuss the concept of railways. Right, I want to discuss the concept of railways. In case of railways, please understand what are the important points. Point number one: Indian Railways is a departmental undertaking. Indian Railways is a departmental undertaking. What do you mean by departmental undertaking? Government of India has set up an authority, that is a ministry, to operate railways, to operate Indian Railways. And right, it is through this department that the government will implement all of its policies regarding Indian Railways. Until very recently, I repeat, until very recently, private sector was not allowed to operate railways in India. But today, today the fact is that government is allowing private sector even in the operation of railways. India has the fourth largest railway network in the world, fourth largest. In fact, some books will say fifth largest, some books will say fourth largest. The latest ranking is fourth largest. But again, as far as I'm concerned, do not by heart this number, because by the time you write the exam, ranking might have changed. Right, the largest railway networks in the world, the top three are China, Russia, and USA. Right, the top is USA, followed by Russia, followed by China. Then the fourth largest is basically the Indian Railways. Now there are two segments in Indian Railways. There are two segments. There are two parts of Indian Railways. One is called as a passenger segment. Second one is called as a freight segment. Passenger basically means customers, individuals such as you and me. Whereas a freight basically means any type of material or goods. Any type of material or goods. Now, before you people ask me, sir, why do we use the term freight? Why can't we directly use the term goods here? Please understand, can we transport, right? Imagine if I'm a manufacturer, can I transport this bottle using railways? Yes or no? I'm a manufacturer. I will manufacture a lot of these bottles. I will use railways to transport it. Of course, yes. Can we use right railways for the transportation of coal? Think of it. Can we use railways to transport coal? Of course, yes. Coal is not a good, but I hope you understand. Coal is not a good, right? Coal is basically an input. It's a raw material. So that's a reason, right? We generally use the term freight in case of railways. We use the term freight. A freight transportation means transportation of a material, transportation of a goods, etc., etc. So there are two components in the railways. One is called as a passenger transportation. Second one is a freight transportation. Okay. Now again, right, many of you are adding to what I'm right explaining here, sir. Right, rice is transported, sir. Crude oil is transported, sir. This is transported. Of course, yes, I know that. But you should basically understand, why do we use the term freight? Why not directly use the term goods? Goods is a very narrow term. Freight means you can transport anything else apart, in addition to goods also. Okay. Now, what are the issues in railways? What are the problems in the railway sector? Point number one, proportion of freight transportation in railways is declining. What do you mean by this? Please listen to me very carefully now. We can transport, right? We can use different modes of transportation in India. The modes of transportation are: one, roadways can be used. All of you okay with this? We can transport using roadways. We can use waterways also. We'll discuss waterways tomorrow, don't worry. We can use waterways also for transportation. We can use railways also for transportation. In fact, we can use even airways. That is basically the civil aviation market, right? So civil aviation market can also be used for transportation. But that is very costly, and the proportion is very, very negligible. So focus on railways, waterways, and roadways. If you look at how much of the goods we are transporting in India, how much freight we are transporting using roadways, waterways, and railways, most of it is done using roadways in India. I repeat, most of it is done using roadways. More than 50 to 60% is done through roadways. Somewhere around 30%, I repeat, somewhere around 30% is done through railways, and somewhere below 10% is done through waterways. I hope you understand. I'll repeat it again. Most of it, that is around 50 to 60% is done through roadways, around 30% is done through railways, and around 10%, less than 10% is done through waterways. But please remember this, out of all the three, the most efficient mode of transportation is waterways. I repeat, most efficient mode of transportation is waterways. Efficient in terms of what? Efficient in terms of emission. Efficient in terms of emissions. Emissions caused in waterways is the lowest. What the cost factor? The cost factor in case of waterways is 1/6 to 1/7 compared to other modes. That is the precise reason. That is the precise reason waterways mode of transportation is actually preferred. But understand, in case of India, historically we have not developed waterways. We have waterways. I hope you understand. We have waterways. It's not that we don't have waterways, right? And if you ask me, sir, what do you mean by waterways? Very simple idea, right? In case of flow of the river, in case of flow of canal water, please tell me, can we use these waters to transport goods, to transport freight, to transport people? Simple argument, right? River is flowing. Can we use the flow of river water to transport people? Are some of you are saying no? Why, my dear? Why are you saying no? Right? Let me give you one current affairs example. Have you heard of MV Ganga Vilas? Let me see how many of you are reading newspapers now. This is where importance of current affairs comes into picture. Have you heard of MV Ganga Vilas? MV Ganga Vilas was basically a passenger boat, right? Tourism, very much related, very much important for current affairs for you people, right? It was basically a large ship which carried passengers. Cruise ships, they will use the term cruise ship, which carried passengers. So I hope you understand. Can we use canal water? Can we use river water flows to move goods, to move passengers, to move freight? Answer is yes. Answer is simply yes. Right? So argument is simple. Waterways is the most efficient in terms of cost, in terms of emissions. But in case of India, please remember, this is a problem. In case of India, most of the transportation is done through roadways. Now think of it. If you use roadways for most of the transportation of freight, costly, right? Don't you think it will be costly affair for us? Compared to waterways, is it not costly? Yes. What about emissions? Think of it. What about emissions? Emissions are also very, very high. Can I say this is a structural problem related to India's infrastructure and transportation? Think of it. Can I say this is a structural problem? Structurally, fundamentally it's a wrong. It is a problem for us. And many of you are asking, sir, why is this happening? My dear, historically, we have not focused on waterways. That's it. Argument is very simple. Historically, we did not focus and develop waterways. China, the length of water that they can use for transportation is more than 1 lakh kilometers. I repeat, in China, the length of navigable river waters is more than 1 lakh kilometers. In India, it is 1/5 of what actually China has. 1/5 or 1/6 of what actually China has. So I hope you understand the logic here. China has developed the waterways to a very great extent. We are promoting it now. I hope you understand. We are actually promoting it now. We'll discuss waterways tomorrow. So come back to the point that I'm trying to make here. We can use different modes of transportation, right? Modal transportation. These are called as modals of transportation. But out of this, most of it is done through roadways. Historically speaking, it was actually done through railways, right? I'm pretty sure this should not be a surprise to you. At the time of independence, don't you think British government had developed a very good rail network for us? Yes or no? Before we got the independence, the British government, did they not develop a very good rail network in India? Answer is yes, by the way. Right? So railways were used as a most important mode of a transportation earlier. Most of the freight transportation was actually done through railways. But over a period of time, roadways has got more percentage of the total freight transportation. For railways, it has actually declined. Now, what is the problem with this? What is the problem? Can I say, out of the total freight, if lesser is transported by railways, it will affect the revenue generation capacity for railways? Think of it. Will it not affect revenue generation capacity for railways? Of course, yes. And many of the years in the past, we have seen railways incurring losses. Railways running into losses. And one of the ways to address this issue is to increase the revenues for the railways. But now the question is, why? Why is that railways freight transportation has come down as a percentage and roadways freight transportation has actually increased? These are the reasons. First one, today the roadways connectivity is much better compared to railway connectivity. All of you will agree with my point here? Today, if you compare how much is the railway connectivity with road connectivity, don't you think road connectivity for most part of India is much better compared to railway connectivity? That is one point. Second point, railway, there is only one operator, that is government. Whereas in case of roadways, can I say multiple private sector companies are competing with each other? All of you okay with this point? I'll repeat it again. In railways, one operator, government of India, kind of a monopoly. Government only operating railways, monopoly. Whereas in case of roadways, can you see multiple companies, private sector companies competing to provide transportation services to you? That is better for us. As a customer, competition is always good for me. Third one, you want to transport goods using railways. You will have to go to railway station, deal with government officials. Now, please do let me know, do you think dealing with government officials to transport anything through railways, is it going to be a very easy thing for you? A cakewalk? You went into the government office, the government officials were waiting with a cup of tea for you, a chai for you, cup of chai. They will give you, they will only fill in all the form, right? They will do every work for you. Have you ever experienced that in a government office? But on the other side, private sector, let me know, private sector companies, will they not make it very easier for you to transport goods? For example, they will take care of most of the paperwork. They will ask you to just have a look into it. They will provide labor services. They will load the goods into, right, let's say they will only bring labor, load the goods into a truck. They will take it to a warehouse. They will unload the goods there. Right? Most of these services are provided by the private sector company. Whereas in case of railways, let me ask you a very simple question. How many of you have transported your vehicle through railways? Let me see. Let me see how many of you have actually experienced how easy it is to transport goods using railways. How many of you have transported the vehicle using railways? Anybody, Papa? Nobody is answering. Am I audible? Am I audible? Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, so if you have transported, right, suddenly there was no relay, right? Everything went blank. So that's the reason. So if I'm audible, very good then. Let me continue. So if you have used railways to transport a product, a vehicle, etc., was it easy? Was it easy? Right? They will ask you to empty the fuel. They will ask you to get all the documents. They will ask you to get the original photocopy. Then they'll say photocopy is not clear, get one more document, etc. So I hope you understand. It's very difficult to deal with government officials. On the other side, private sector, it is very easy. These are some of the reasons why transportation through roadways has caught on, has increased compared to transportation using railways. And as a result of this, right, revenue generation capacity of the railways also has been hit. Second, passenger to freight ratio is